Hey guys, what's up? So very funny thing what I'm going to do today. I thought I will pre-shoot a video. Basically the video was top sectors to invest in 2021. So I thought I'll actually pre-shoot that video and pre-record that video and then upload it. But then I said, you know what, I miss my old style of going live and teaching live because I used to do that on Amazon Meta Live. So I said, let me give that a shot. And also a lot of people said yesterday, please go get a haircut. So I think I got the haircut as well. So hope you guys like that. It's a stupid haircut. It is so horrible. But one good thing about haircut is that hair will grow, so I'm okay with that. Yeah. So today I'm not going to keep it very long because we have two parts. So I'm going to only do part one today, and I'm going to try keeping it around 10 to 15 minutes. 10 not possible, at least 15 minutes. So today we're going to talk about top sectors to invest in 2021, part one. Right. So I'm going to show you three sectors today, and I'm going to show you three sectors in the next video. Okay. So without wasting any more time, let's deep dive and jump onto it. For all the people who are late, I am sorry. Beautiful. Let's keep the blue theme alive. Blue theme alive. Chalo. Okay, so we're going to look at the top three sectors that are there in the space right now that is very hot and it's prime to invest in 2021. Okay, now the first thing, can you guess what this is? I'm pretty sure most of you can guess this. The first sector is basically the IT sector, which is information technology sector, IT sector. And the reason why the IT sector is considered one of the best sectors right now is because of multiple things. It's not just one thing that boosted the IT sector, it's multiple things, right? And the multiple things that actually hit here was one, when COVID happened, lockdown happened. As soon as lockdown happened, everyone realized, boss, we have to go digital. So all the old companies that were being analog had to go digital at that point. And everything, when everything goes digital, do you know where it goes? Right, it basically goes on the cloud, right? So a lot of demand for cloud infrastructure and digital transformation and making new processes were coming into the picture. So when COVID happened, that became super important. The second thing what became again a big boost for the sector and why it's so attractive is because of our talent pool and why we are so competitively we have that advantage over everyone else, especially the US, because we have this price parity with US. Whatever costs $10,000 in US will cost one fourth over here, right? So that is how it usually works. So the price parity is 4 to 6 times, depending on how you look at it. So it's easy to outsource technology to India, and we have some damn good tech guys, especially in Bangalore as well, right? So if you want to do cloud and digital transformation, we have damn good companies in India doing tech and etc. etc. Right? The third thing was that Indian companies have developed process and quality. That is why we're so good and so strong with this. Indian companies have developed with process and quality. Why? Because over the last God knows how many years, right? 20 years, 25 years, apart from cheap labor, if you've heard of the big tech giants that we have right now, Infosys, TCS, Wipro, and HCL, right? These guys were the guys who actually built the entire IT landscape in India by doing a lot of outsourcing. And we have that process, we have that quality. Just what happened was everyone was relaxing, chilling at home in their office. Ah, okay, chalo, kaam karte hai. You know, everyone has to be in office. Suddenly, COVID happened and everyone went digital. Everyone went cloud. Zoom stock price shot up, and all the tech companies and IT companies came running and said, you know what, we will do digital transformation for you. So that is why IT sector did very well. Now, to give you more information on the IT sector, the IT sector is basically divided into a few segments. One is the software space, the pure IT software space, where Wipro, Happiest Minds, TCS, which is our universe, all of them are there, right? This is completely depends on software. Under software, there are a lot of things, right? Digital, legacy. We'll not go into that, but we're just going to show you what is the main thing. So IT software basically takes up to 70% of our Indian IT space. 70% is only IT software. Next, we have something known as IT hardware, right? Software to theek hai, but you need some hardware as well, right? The chip manufacturers, the product manufacturers. So IT hardware may we see companies like Dixon coming into the play, right? Again, now IT hardware takes up about 21% of our space also. The third thing, which was slightly old school, right, which was slightly old, was BPO. Now IT, business process outsourcing, and outsourcing had become a very big scene in the early 2000s where IT was booming because of outsourcing. But now BPO has become slightly smaller because the traditional IT players moved away from BPO and went towards software and started landing big multi international deals, right? So IT, if you look at just IT BPO, we have eClerk service who's doing really well, but the market composition over there is only 5%. So this is basically IT. Now, if you look at some notable trends that are there in the IT segment, One was we have this global delivery model, whereas you tell any company in India, chalo boss, let's go build a beautiful digital transformation in a client in Africa, they will figure it out and go there and do it, right? So yeah, so that is very important. Second notable trend, we're seeing that most of them are going onto the cloud. Everyone's moving towards cloud. Everyone wants remote access. That has become a big factor for us. We have large players gaining a lot of advantage. Why? Because of switching cost. So large players are also gaining a lot of advantage. A lot of expansion and collaboration is happening. If you're seeing now today, a lot of people are building communities around the tech world, right? So that is also happening. And finally, the government itself is boosting a lot of these players, right? If you look at IT hardware, I think Dixon got advantage because of the PLI scheme that came out, which is product linked scheme, product linked incentive that came out from the government itself. So all that is happening. Everyone's moving to the cloud. A lot of government initiatives are happening for the IT space, and all these things are helping our beautiful IT space. And that is why it is something that is very, I would say, interesting right now to look at. And if you look at what the strategies they're using right now, if you look at that, they're using movement to SMAC and digital space. A lot of companies, as I told you, are moving into the digital category. No one's staying legacy anymore. Everyone wants to go to digital category. Now, a lot of mergers and acquisitions are also happening. You know what mergers and acquisitions are? They're buying companies. So a lot of mergers and acquisitions are happening. Different, a lot of R&D. Obviously, research and development is what R&D is. A lot of R&D and product pricing is also happening. Now, what I'm going to do is, see, this document was created by Devjani, and what we're seeing right here is basically a drop in the ocean to the amount of research we have actually done to actually put this across for you guys, right? So, what I'm going to do is, after this, I'm not only going to share the presentation, I'm also going to share this document where all of you all can go through it and start reading with your own whenever you have time. Got it? Cool. Next, advantages of India over its competition, right? One, we have a competitive advantage. Why? Because we are less expensive compared to anyone else in UK or Europe, or even if you look at USA, we are quite cheap when it comes to IT infrastructure. There's also a massive growing demand for IT infrastructure, especially after COVID. The growth has just shot up quite significantly, right? If you look at the global footprints, by the way, if you know that most Indian IT companies right now are not just in India, we have actually diversified and spread ourselves in different countries. So we actually have a lot of offices in different countries as well. So we have a global footprint. And now, because of the union budget that we saw in 2021, we have a nice budget allocation for the IT sector and the telecom sector, and that was totally around 7.3 billion. So that is again going to be amazing for from that perspective. Right now, the next sector that we're going to look at is the insurance sector. Again, why? Because of a trigger from COVID, right? Insurance sector did really well in this segment, and now why it has done really well for a couple of reasons. One, because of COVID, people finally understood, boss, I need health insurance, or else I'm screwed, right? Or I need life insurance because, and you might have heard these stories, right? Someone dies of COVID and then they wouldn't have had a life insurance, and you might have heard this gossip saying, shit, they didn't have a life insurance, it's so bad, or they didn't have a health insurance, itna kharcha hua hospital mein. You would have heard that over the last 1 year, right? 10 days he had to stay in the hospital, it was quite expensive. But actually, most people are not even getting bed, so that's another thing. But in COVID, people learned the importance of health insurance, and I did a recent video about health insurance, which should also give you guys some clarity on how it works, right? So yeah, we understood the importance of health insurance because of the pandemic, and a lot of people are now focusing on health and life insurance. Please don't confuse insurance with savings. Insurance is not savings. If you're doing health, do direct health. If you're doing life, just do term life, right? Now, another thing is that a lot of the income of each and every person right now is also increasing, and that is why they're taking insurances. Earlier in the past, what was the biggest problem? People didn't want to buy insurance. They're like, additional kharcha hai, why should I simply buy it right now? कुछ होने नहीं वाला है मेरे को लाइफ में, कुछ जिंदगी में होने नहीं वाला है. Even if I die, I'll die much later. All this was there, by the way, if you don't believe me, a long period ago, a long time ago, like some 6, 7, 10 years ago, a lot of people were trying, I mean, they wanted to buy insurance, but they used to hesitate and buy it much later. If you look at now, the premiums have become quite cheap. Everything's become very, very cheap for a lot of people to invest. So a lot of people are going and buying insurance, even though the volume is increasing, the cost might have gone down, which is your cost for insurance, right? Again, process and quality is there because earlier it was very difficult to do ECS. It was very difficult to get the money from your bank account directly into the insurance provider. It was very difficult to understand what they're providing. Now, because the space has got so competitive, everyone wants to give you the best, right? Best insurance. So they're giving you everything. Acha, you want this also? Chalo. Hospital के आने के पहले भी खर्चा you want me to pay for, I'll pay for it. After you get discharged also you want me to pay for, I'll pay for it. So people have become over sweet right now, right? Awesome. Now, if you look at the growth drivers that are there for the insurance space in India, we have some growth drivers. One growth driver is the financial industry itself is growing, because now if you see the fintech space is just booming like no other, because everyone's coming into the world of finance. There's a lot of digital disintermediation happening, whereas it's going to be a direct benefit between the insurance providers and the people. And the union budget actually allocated 16,000 crores for this insurance and health insurance and normal scheme as well. And again, there's my massive tax benefit, because if you saw the insurance video that I did, you have a tax benefit of 25,000 rupees. So you should take advantage of that. Now, if you look at competition is also increasing, because competition increases, it's good for us, because you know what? When two big players fight with competition, you know who wins at the end of the day? People like me and you. I'll tell you why. Because if you guys remember when Flipkart fought with Amazon, or when Flipkart fought with Snapdeal, you know who was winning? Or when Zomato fought with Swiggy, offers, discount offers, we were only winning because they were going in loss, and I could get my soup for a 10-20% more discount than the actual price itself. So competition is increasing in the insurance space, and that is why prices are reducing, right? FDI norms, now this is very important in the insurance space. FDI norms have changed for insurance. Earlier, if someone wanted to invest in the insurance space, right, from foreign company wanted to invest in Indian insurance space, it was 49% limited to, right? Now it has become 74% to promote more foreign investment coming into the insurance space. Now, if you look at insurance premium, also a lot of things have changed. Basically, the insurance premium, the insurance regulatory body in India, IRDAI, has announced that it has authorized up to 5% of the existing premium rates to change the base premium. So it is, you can actually keep it for a longer period of time. So all in all, what I'm saying is there's a massive amount of new technology, new innovations that are happening in the insurance space, and it has become hot. And by the way, one very important thing here, even though the insurance space is very big in India, there's very few people competing in this space, right? And I'll show you who are competing. So if you look at the market share with respect to premiums in the first year life insurance space, obviously our LIC, which is our old and soul LIC, right? They have 52% of the market, right? If you look at HDFC Standard Life Insurance, SBI Life Insurance, so HDFC Standard has around 14%, SBI has around 9%, ICICI Pru has 6%, and then we have others. Look at how big LIC is, right? LIC, which is coming out with an IPO, just look at how big it is, right? So this is the size of the insurance industry. That is why I am waiting like hell for the LIC IPO to come out, because that's my retirement fund, right? Because I know for a fact LIC is going to be there for a very long period of time. So I'm not worried about that. Now, what is this sector? This is the third sector. Can anyone guess this sector, right? Now, this is the third sector that we're going to do. The final sector we're going to do in part one. And the third sector, which we see metros and roads and cars and trains and blah, blah, blah. The third sector is basically our infrastructure sector. Yes, you got it right. Not train sector, it is infrastructure sector, right? Now, as we all know, in the last few months, especially when the massive boom happened with respect to infrastructure, do you know where this boom came from? Right? By the way, this was not a boom that only happened in India. This was a boom that happened in US as well. And I'll give you a quick connecting the dots basic tutorial 101 in this, right? When COVID happened, our entire economy went down. All the companies had to wait for like 30 to 60 days because of COVID. A lot of businesses were affected. Yes, look at the connecting the dots, guys. COVID happened, everyone was sitting at home, a lot of businesses got affected. People were worried that the economy would collapse, because the economy is not supposed to take a pause or stop like that and not make money. A lot of tension happened everywhere. And then what happened is every country came out and said, we are going to announce a relief package. Not just India. Every company came and said, we're going to do a relief package. Now, do you know what is a relief package or why is it done? Relief package is done to support the economy so that it doesn't fall down and break or crack, right? So what relief package basically does, everyone's struggling, there's no money created, let's take this so much amount of money and start putting it back into the country, right? Let's keep putting this money back into the country so that it, relief happens and everything comes back to normal. But then that's not how you do relief, right? If I just tell you, okay, I'll just dump so much money that relief doesn't happen, then a lot of countries came and said, we want to boost some sectors so that the economy doesn't collapse. And some sectors are what? Some important sectors like pharmaceutical sector, infrastructure sector, right? If you look at IT sector, affordable housing sector, which was under infrastructure, a lot of boost for affordable housing, and then the agriculture sector. These are core sectors, banking sector. These are core sectors that the government or any country should not let it die, because if it dies, then it will create a collapse to the entire country, right? So US came out and said we have a $1 trillion package that's coming out. Why? And most of it is going into infrastructure over the next 10 years, and we're going to use it to make electric vehicle infrastructure. EV infrastructure is also happening. Now that happened in US. Now what happens when that happens in US? Everyone's like, oh my god, infrastructure is going to become great. What do you need for infrastructure? What are the few things you need in infrastructure? You need cement, you need steel, and you need some raw materials that makes all these things. Now steel is not something that only I have or you have, right? It is not country specific. Steel is global specific. So if the steel prices goes up, as soon as US announced that, and then India came and said we are also going to do massive infrastructure boost, the demand for steel went up. When the demand for steel went up, the prices of steel went up. When the prices of steel went up, you saw a metal rally happening in the entire market for almost 2.5, 3 months. Massive metal rally happened. So that is how infrastructure boom kicked in. Why? Because the economy needs infrastructure to survive. And then cement rally happened after that, because again you need that. Then a lot of subsidiary products like Acrysil did really well because a lot of infrastructure came there. This is how connecting the dots works. Something that happened, Biden announced in US, Modi announced in India. Steel prices been flying up. Because of that, your Tata Steel went up, and because of that, you were smart. You invested and made money. That is how you connect the dots. So everything is important, right? Now, why is it so important in India? Because government initiatives came out, and international investment also came in for infrastructure. Rising demand for good infrastructure. Now they're like, you know what? Let's just invest a lot in infrastructure, make it really good, and a lot of public-private partnerships. A lot of public companies and private companies have got into a partnership model to build this into a very big thing, right? Now, if you look at market segmentation, most of the capital infrastructure that might go, right, which is by allocation from 2020 to 2025, energy sector might get a lot of infrastructure, the budget, right, which where you have Tata Power and IEX and JSW Energy. Now, also think about this from this perspective, right? If I build roads, okay, if I build houses, everything needs energy, right? Each road, if you have road, you need lights on the road. If you have monorail, you need lights for the monorail. If you have trains, you need electricity for trains. If you build houses, you need electricity for that. So energy kicks in, right? So all your Tata Power, IEX, JSW Energy works there. When roads come in, what happens with roads? National highway projects shares will do really well. Cement shares will do really well. Cement ancillary shares will do really well. Then the urban development happens. That's why you see all the housing companies developing really well. Brigade Properties, Shobha Properties, this property, that property, all of those things start doing well. And then you see railways doing really well. Now in railways we have IRFC and we have IRCTC. So those two things will do really well. See how connecting the dots. So under infrastructure it is massive like this, right? And what are the government initiatives that have happened for infrastructural growth? One, you see railways and metro, because India has gone very bullish on railway and metro at the same time. By the way, roads and airport, which again, I'm going to share this document so you can read the budget. Roads and airport is something very big. If you look at Adani, he's winning airport contracts left, right, and center. Roads, other people are winning, but everything's happening from that perspective. Telecom, energy, and power sector is also doing really well. And then finally, construction kicks into that angle as well. So anything that is playing in these four categories of parameters, you should take advantage of this, right? Now, the reason why India has an advantage over anyone else or over its competitors, which is global competitors, because India is a country that has still not developed to its maximum potential. We've still just started doing smart cities. So there's massive demand coming up for this. We have good opportunities that are also there because we have cheap labor, we have good incentives coming from the government, and also there's a lot of massive increasing investment that's happening. By the way, investment, I'm not talking about companies putting their own money. You are seeing a lot of PE firms, VC firms coming and investing, big companies, right, like BlackRock. All of these guys are coming in what is KRK investments. They're all coming and investing massively, heavy projects that are coming up in this space, right? So you should look at all of this from a very overview perspective. Don't go too deep into it. Look at from an overview perspective, because I don't know whether you guys saw this, but Anil Lamba had said this once, right? If how to find a good stock, I don't go and find the stock. I go find a good sector, because that eliminates my search for finding the best stock. So I look at what are the few sectors that are doing well. I catch that sector and then find the best players in that sector and who has a competitive advantage. So I don't do a stock to sector approach. I do a sector to stock approach, which is very smart, right? Now again, this was done by Ms. Debjani, who's really good in doing research. I'm also going to share her document here for all of you guys to read it when you guys are free. Again, this is a disclaimer. This is just for educational purposes. I hope you guys have understood that by now, that this is only for educational purposes and this is not some buy or sell recommendation, right? Guys, so this was just part 1. Okay, part 2 I will come up and do another video about part 2, but this was just part 1 summarizing it. Part 1 basically had IT sector, insurance sector and the infrastructure space, and part 2 we will do 3 more sectors. So I want you guys to guess what the next 3 sectors are in part 2 as well, right? So again, that was me. This was just quick live. I hope live format works with you guys, or else I can also pre-record and shoot. Put in the comments what you guys prefer. Do you guys live like this or you want pre-recorded? Awesome. See you guys. I will see you guys soon. This is me, Shashank Udupa, signing off. Please like, share, and subscribe. There's only 98 likes. Okay. Awesome. Chalo. See you. Bye, guys.